cash value life insurance Q&A session. I love these questions. You know why so many questions come up about cash value life insurance is because it's your money going into a policy. Like, it's people's money. They don't want to get nickel and dimed. But anyway, let's hit on the actual question today. It had to do with payment frequency and fees. Meaning, with a life insurance policy, whether my goal is cash value or I'm just buying life insurance, typically if I pay a frequency other than yearly, meaning one time per year, there's going to be an additional charge that the company will assess on my payments. So, for example, with a life insurance policy, did you know that you can make payments typically on an annual, semi-annually, quarterly, or monthly basis? So if you're paying $12,000 per year and you're paying annual, that'll be what? $12,000. Now, if you said, hey, I want to pay $12K per year, but instead I'd prefer to pay $1,000 per month, which comes out to $12,000 per year, that would be what? Monthly, $1,000 per month, but there is a fee that is assessed with your payment as well. And all companies have different charges in respect to their fees. Sometimes it could be confusing. Now, something I'd like to add as well is if you're making unscheduled PUA payments, the key word here is unscheduled. You can add PUAs at your discretion, meaning you might add funds into PUAs, you might not. Those are not assessed with the same fees that I would receive or I would have if I'm paying monthly, semi-annually, quarterly. If I'm making an unscheduled PUA payment, that'll function in the same manner that it would if I'm making my premium payment annual or monthly. Meaning when I make the PUA payment, I throw in $1 into my policy. On the date that I make that payment, that is when the company is going to begin crediting the guaranteed rate, any dividends. It always has to do with the actual date that I make the payment. And regardless of how frequently I make that payment or not, and this is specific to unscheduled PUAs, there's only the standard PUA fee. All companies have PUA fees. We have videos on specific companies. We've got some videos that really generalize that too on our YouTube channel. So in respect to this, like, okay, if I don't pay yearly, there's going to be a fee. If you pay yearly, there's no additional fee. There's still the PUA fee, but there's no extra charge the company is going to hit you with. What does that charge actually look like? There's a couple ways insurance companies do it. That's why I'm diving a bit deeper into this. Let's look at one example. So this is from an illustration where the company discloses what their fees are. This is for an individual who wants to pay in $100,000 per year. And if he pays it in annually, what do we see in respect to additional charge in dollars and then the annual percentage rate? Nothing. What if he pays any other frequency? What do you notice here? We see the additional charge, and then you also see the APR, the annual percentage rate. Personally, I like the additional charge in dollars. Depends how you crunch it. So if I look at it monthly, it comes out to $8,700 a month. That is the amount I would need to pay over 12 months. If you multiply that by 12, it would actually come out, you don't need the calculator, it's there for us already, $104,400. So an additional $4,400, which one could say, okay, I mean, that really comes out, if I want to call it this, 4.4% extra that I'm paying. Depends on how you really look at it. I mean, this guy, what the company is going to include in there as well is time value of money in respect to how they actually come up with that calculation. Depends if you really want to understand it. You don't have to if you just say, all right, well, I'm paying an extra $4,400 if I pay monthly. So let's provide a little bit more information on this. So the fee, because everything is scheduled here, I'm paying everything at the same time. The fees on everything, premium, term rider, PUA dollars, that fee's assessed to everything. So what happens here we've got it run at an annual frequency, $100,000 per year. But here we see semi-annually, quarterly, and monthly. So what this means is if you were paying monthly, the illustration would actually read not 100,000, but 104,400. And if all things are equal, meaning we had $870 toward the base premium, $870 toward LISR, the rest toward AILR, designing it for maximum cash value, all that fun stuff, you'd see the same $104,400 on the annual outlay column. Identical cash values. The difference is you would be paying another $4,400 per year in total fees, which over time, on a big amount, adds up. Over 10 years, that's $44,000 you've paid in fees. So if we can swing annual payments, if we're comfortable with it, it is typically in our best interest. I'll add this as well. You can switch back and forth. And for some extra information to kind of know how to be creative with this kind of stuff, if someone ran into a hard time, like from a flexibility standpoint, say they're paying in $100K per year, and they say, hey, Steve, year 4, I'm not going to be able to pay in the full $100K. I can do it monthly, but man, that $4,400 charge, it's going to be on my mind. I'm going to be thinking about it every day. I don't want it. Like, how can I avoid that? What you could do, you can measure the numbers here, is year 4, you can just reduce your payments. If you keep it annual, actually, I'm sorry, to, let's say we drop it down to $20K. And then the next year, go back up to $180. You can do that. And then $100 thereafter, using the flexibility. If you said, well, I still want to get $100K in this year, just right now I can't do it. So year 4, you can't get the money in. What you could do is go monthly for 3 months and then switch it back to annual. You'll have the fee for 3 months only. So that's one option. Another thing you could do, this always depends on the situation, is you could say, okay, I want to get the full $100K in. I've got the year prior $281 in cash value. So you could elect to borrow $100,000 and then make the payment, and then 3 months later, repay the loan. Maybe you're doing it frequently to chip away at the loan interest. Because remember, the loan interest rate's 5%, which at $100,000, that would be how much? $5,000. But it accrues daily over 3 months. That would only equate to, what would that be, about $1,200 in interest or so. So you take the 5,000 divided by 12 times 3. And so $1,250 in interest over 3 months you would pay. So it's good to crunch the numbers. How much flexibility do we want? The point is, we've got options there. So that's one example with MassMutual. And you can tell we're going really deep because we like to provide options to people when they run into these situations, not just say, here's your choice, here's the option, let's switch it and make it easy for us. It's like, no, this is your money going in. I want to understand it. Here's a different company here. This one can be a little confusing. On the left, you've got the annual payment, $100K per year going in for 10 years. Breaks even year 5. Now what's interesting is if you were to pay it monthly, the same $100K per year, what it comes out to, the actual out of pocket for the individual is $83.58 33 which if you calculate that, watch this. People, I don't want to say are tricked by this, but it can be a little difficult to follow. So you got $83.58 times 12, I forgot the 33 cents, but that's okay. An extra $300. So $100,300. So I'm like, okay, if it's only another $300, yeah, I'll pay monthly, no problem. Sign me up. The thing is, if I go monthly, when I actually add those PUAs into the policy, the company begins to apply dividends and interest as they are received each month. So here's where, and this kind of speaks to the unscheduled PUA piece as well. Here's what I want to touch on. Look at this. 100,000, 81,207. Over here, 82,237. Cash value difference of about $1,000. When's your break-even point? Goes beyond the $300 fee. Like, important to be aware of this stuff. Like, it's okay if I see it up front and say, okay, I'm comfortable with that, knowing I can switch to annual, but awareness is so, so important here. That's where people get upset. There we go. So there's the CV difference, the cash value difference, how much less you have by paying monthly compared to annual. Now, with this particular example, a nice workaround here is you could go annual, pay just the base premium, so that and the cost of the term, so that plus the OYT, maybe I'm paying, probably gonna be less than this in this example, but call it $12,000 per year. I can commit just to that, and then at my discretion, I can throw funds into unscheduled PUAs, just add them at discretion, which has the exact same fee here. When I say fee, the PUA charge, what's assessed to policies, but my point is I can now commit to the minimum and add excess PUAs at discretion, whether I add them all up front, over the course of the year. It's a way I can completely eliminate any additional fees that the company would hit me with for paying monthly, quarterly, anything like that, and then keep the product flexible as well. And of course, that depends on the company. No, that's a lot. Let me know if it helps and if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Hey guys, Steve Parisi here. If you enjoyed the content you just saw, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for future videos. If you'd like more information or to see some custom policies for yourself, feel free to call or email our offices at the contact information below.